You sit here listening with a quiet weight pressing on your heart, perhaps a question that has gnawed at your soul for years. Why do you keep loving those who hurt you? Why do you find yourself returning again and again to the same patterns of pain? This question is not merely psychological, it is profoundly spiritual. It is a riddle of the human heart which clings to both light and darkness, as though both were needed for life itself. And perhaps in some archetypal way, they are, what if I told you that within your suffering lies a myth older than memory? A script that is not just yours but belongs to the collective soul of humanity. You are not alone in this. We are all born into the drama of love and pain, as if our lives were meant to teach us how to look into the face of suffering and see not a wound, but a doorway. When I speak of love, I do not mean the fragile sentimentality that fades with seasons. I speak of the force that binds the cosmos together, the primal eros that surges through creation itself. But eros is not gentle by nature. It is a fire, and fire both warms and burns. You love people who hurt you because in them your unconscious sense is a mirror of your own soul, a fragment of your shadow. Pain is the price the psyche often pays for wholeness. It is as if your heart knows secretly that every wound you receive is a map, leading you deeper into your own labyrinth. You do not suffer by accident. You suffer because your soul is trying to awaken from its sleep. I have spent my life studying the deep rivers of the unconscious, and I can tell you this: the people who wound you are not merely strangers. They carry the face of your own unfinished story. In dreams, they appear as figures who both terrify and fascinate you, because they hold the key to something you have forgotten. That cruel lover, that distant parent, that friend who betrayed you, they all embody something you have buried within yourself. They are living archetypes, stirring the dormant parts of you that long for recognition. The unconscious, you see, is always seeking balance, and sometimes it brings the shadow to life in the form of another person so that you cannot ignore it. You might believe that love should be free of pain, but is that truly love, or is it merely comfort, which is not the same as growth? The soul does not seek comfort, it seeks truth. And truth often comes through friction, through conflict, through the clash of opposites. In alchemy, gold is forged through fire. So too, the heart is forged through suffering. The one who hurts you might be the very one who forces you to see what you have denied for too long. When you look into their eyes, you see the face of your own wound, and something deep within you whispers, "Here is the place you must heal." But why do you return? Why do you continue to pour your love into the same vessel that leaks it away, leaving you empty? It is because your soul senses that there is an unresolved myth being played out. Perhaps as a child, you reached out for love and met with coldness. Perhaps your father or mother, wounded themselves, could not give you the warmth you craved. The child you will learn that love is not freely given, it is earned, fought for, or endured through pain. And now, as an adult, you repeat this pattern unconsciously, seeking to rewrite the original story. This is what I call the compulsion to repeat. Your psyche draws you to the same kind of wound, hoping that this time you will awaken. This time you will see, this time you will no longer abandon yourself in the pursuit of someone else's approval. The unconscious does not forget. It is like a vast sacred theater where all your unhealed memories wait for resolution. When you meet someone who hurts you, it is as though the curtain has risen on an ancient play, and every cell in your body recognizes the script. It is familiar. Familiarity is powerful. Even when it is painful, it feels like home. And so you stay, not because you enjoy suffering, but because your psyche is trying to turn the wound into wisdom. But the truth is, wisdom does not come from allowing yourself to be destroyed. Wisdom comes when you turn inward, when you realize that the very love you give so freely to those who wound you must first be given to yourself. Do you see how love is often projected outward, as though others are the source of it? But love is not something you must beg for. Love is a force that lives within you, a wellspring that cannot run dry unless you abandon it. You love people who hurt you because you have forgotten that you are not incomplete. You are whole, though the world taught you otherwise. The shadow of your own unworthiness calls out to those who will confirm it. And every time they hurt you, a part of you nods as if to say, yes, this is who I am, but that is a lie. That is not who you are. It is who you believed you had to be to survive. The unconscious is a trickster. It will lead you to love the very person who will shatter your illusions, because only through shattering can the soul grow. I have seen it countless times, people drawn to relationships that feel like destiny but end in pain. And I have learned that the psyche does not care about happiness as much as it cares about wholeness. Happiness is a fleeting state. Wholeness is eternal. You love people who hurt you because at some level your soul recognizes that this pain is pointing towards your own unfinished work. It is saying, here is where you have not yet forgiven yourself. Here is where you still carry the old chains. What would happen if you turned inward instead of outward? If, instead of asking why they hurt you, you asked why you keep abandoning yourself in the presence of those who cannot love you rightly? This is the alchemical question. The question that transforms lead into gold. The moment you stop looking for the missing piece outside and begin to nurture the wounded child within, the spell breaks. Suddenly, you see that the one who hurt you is not your savior or your destroyer. They are your mirror. And when you see clearly, you are free. I have always believed that the path to the self is not a straight road, but a spiral. You will encounter the same lessons again and again, each time at a deeper level. This is why you find yourself returning to those who hurt you. It is not weakness. It is the soul's insistence that you truly understand, and when you finally do, when you see that every wound was an invitation to love yourself more fiercely than before, you will not need to repeat the pattern. The cycle will end because you will have learned what it came to teach you. The shadow is not evil. It is simply what you do not see, what you have repressed, because it was too painful or too inconvenient. But the shadow will find its way into your life, often through relationships. Every person you meet is an actor on the stage of your psyche. The one who wounds you might be carrying the qualities you refuse to acknowledge. They might be showing you the parts of yourself you have cast out. When you hate them, when you fear them, when you long for them, despite their cruelty, you are engaging with your own shadow. This is why I always say the relationship you have with others is, at its core, the relationship you have with yourself. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine this. You are standing before a mirror, but the mirror is not made of glass. It is made of every person you have ever loved. Every person who has ever hurt you. They look back at you with eyes full of stories you have not yet told. And one by one, they whisper, "We are not your enemies. We are the pieces of you that you left behind." This is the secret your heart has always known. You do not love people who hurt you because you enjoy pain. You love them because your soul is trying to gather all its lost fragments to become whole again. There is a strange magnetism between you and those who wound you, as though some invisible hand arranges these encounters. You may call it fate, or karma, or the unconscious drawing its patterns like constellations in the night sky. I call it the meeting of projections. When you look at someone, you rarely see them as they are. You see them through the veil of your own inner world. You project your inner image of love, your unhealed pain, and your archetypal expectations onto them, as though they were the stage upon which your soul performs its old drama. The lover who hurts you is not simply who they appear to be. They carry the shadow of your father's silence, your mother's sorrow, the archetypal image of rejection that was etched into your psyche long ago. Imagine the archetype of the wounded child. Within each of us lives that child who once loved without fear, who once reached for the world with open hands, only to be met with coldness or betrayal. That child learned a lesson. It should never have learned that love comes with pain. And so the adult, you become the seeker, drawn to recreate this dynamic, not because you consciously desire it, but because the child within you still waits for redemption. You keep loving people who hurt you because at some deep level, you hope that by enduring, by loving them harder, you will finally heal the ancient wound. You believe that if this person who mirrors the original wound can love you back, then the past will no longer hold power over you. But this is an illusion, for healing cannot come from the one who hurts you. It can only come from reclaiming the love you once abandoned within yourself. There is another dimension to this mystery. In the language of dreams, those who wound us often appear as shadow figures. They are the ones who provoke, who unsettle, who awaken feelings we would rather not face. Why? Because the unconscious knows that growth is not born from comfort, but from confrontation. You love people who hurt you because they awaken the very parts of you that have lain dormant. Their actions strike the deep chords of your psyche, forcing you to see the truth of your own needs, fears, and desires. It is not the pain itself that calls to you, but the hidden alchemy within the pain. Like the alchemist's fire, it burns away illusions and exposes the raw material of the soul. Sometimes, in my work with dreams, I see this dynamic appear as a recurring symbol, a locked door, a bleeding hand, a stormy sea. These are images of the psyche trying to speak, trying to say, here is where the wound lives. Will you listen? In your waking life, the person who wounds you is often the embodiment of that locked door or that storm. You stand before them, aching for entry, believing that if you can unlock their heart, you will be whole. But the truth is that the door is within you. It has always been within you. The love you seek from them is the love you have withheld from your own soul. Consider the archetype of the anima, and animus, the inner feminine in men, and the inner masculine in women. These archetypal figures live within us as psychic realities, shaping how we relate to others. Often, when we fall deeply, even irrationally, in love, it is because we have projected our anima or animus onto another person. We see them not as they are, but as a living embodiment of our inner ideal, our hidden longing for completeness. And when this projection falls upon someone who is wounded themselves, who cannot meet our love with kindness, the result is pain. But that pain is not meaningless. It is the psyche's attempt to draw our attention inward, to remind us that the beloved we are truly seeking is within. When you realize that your inner anima or animus has been projected, you begin to withdraw the projection, and suddenly the person who once had power over your heart no longer holds the same magic. You see them as they are, and you see yourself as you are. This is the beginning of freedom. There is a moment in every healing journey when the soul must face its own shadow fully. The shadow is not merely the dark impulses we hide, it is also the pain we refuse to acknowledge, the love we refuse to give ourselves. Those who hurt us often carry the qualities we have repressed. They may be cold, where we are overly warm, cruel, where we are endlessly forgiving, detached, where we are desperate for connection, and something in us is drawn to this imbalance, as though by loving them we might finally reclaim what we lack. But what if you realize that you are whole even without their love? What if you turned inward and embraced both your light and your shadow, your strength and your vulnerability, your tenderness and your rage? Then you would see that no one outside of you has the power to define your worth. I often think of the myth of Eros and Psyche. Psyche, the soul, is drawn to Eros, the god of love, but she is forbidden to look upon his face. Her journey is filled with trials and suffering. Yet, through these trials, she is transformed. This myth is not about romantic love alone, it is about the soul's journey toward wholeness. The ones who hurt you may, in some archetypal sense, be your trials, forcing you to confront your illusions, to see where you have surrendered your power. Like Psyche, you are called to descend into the underworld of your own heart, to face the darkness and bring back the light. Pain in relationships is not a punishment. It is a teacher. The question is, are you listening to what it is teaching? When someone hurts you and you remain, do you do so out of love or out of fear? Do you believe that if you stop loving them, you will be empty? These are illusions of the ego. The true self does not beg for love, it radiates it. When you connect with your true self, you become like a flame that burns on its own, unafraid of who sees it or who tries to extinguish it. Those who cannot hold your light will fall away, and those who can will meet you as equals. And yet, the process of awakening is not simple. There will be nights when you feel pulled back, when the memory of their touch or their voice lingers like a haunting melody. The unconscious loves repetition, and you will feel tempted to return to the familiar pain. But in those moments, remember this: every time you choose yourself over the one who wounds you, you rewrite the story. You tell your unconscious, I no longer need to repeat this pattern. I am ready to love in a new way. It is essential to understand that those who hurt you are often carrying their own shadows. They too are wounded. They too are repeating ancient patterns. Perhaps they hurt you not because they wish to, but because they do not yet know how to love without fear. This does not excuse their actions, but it reminds you that their pain is not a reflection of your worth. You cannot save them by sacrificing yourself. Healing is not found in martyrdom. It is found in truth. And sometimes the most loving thing you can do is to walk away, to say, I will no longer be part of this dance of pain. You may ask, but what of forgiveness? Should I not forgive those who hurt me? Yes, forgiveness is a path to freedom, but it must not be confused with submission. To forgive is to release the grip of resentment, to free your own soul from the chains of the past. But forgiveness does not mean staying in harm's way. It means seeing the truth of the other's humanity and choosing to let go, even if that means loving them from afar. There is a profound mystery here. The very pain you feel is also the key to your transformation. Without it, you would not seek deeper meaning. Without it, you would not ask the questions that awaken your soul. Pain, when embraced and understood, becomes a doorway to the self, the higher, unified consciousness that lies beyond the ego. This is the great paradox of life, that what wounds you also awakens you. The people who hurt you may unknowingly be initiators, forcing you to descend into the depths of your own psyche, where your true strength is waiting to be claimed. Think of the heart as a mirror that is cracked, yet still reflects light. Each crack tells a story of encounters, of love given and love withheld, of dreams that were born and dreams that were shattered. You do not need to mend the mirror by pretending the cracks never happened. No, the cracks themselves allow the light of truth to enter. This is why I say that pain is not your enemy. Pain is a guidepost, a whisper from the soul saying, look here, for here lies something you have not yet understood. You keep loving those who hurt you because the unconscious has its own language, a language of symbols, dreams, and archetypal patterns. It does not speak in words, but in images, impulses, and synchronicities. When you meet someone who wounds you, yet draws you close, the unconscious is telling you that there is a hidden image of love buried in your psyche, distorted perhaps, but waiting to be healed. You may believe that this person's cruelty or indifference defines your worth, But that is only because your inner child has not yet learned that love does not have to hurt to be real. The shadow is often projected onto others, especially those we love. We may idolize them at first, seeing in them a kind of savior who will fill the emptiness inside. But when they fail to live up to that ideal, we feel betrayed, as though they have wounded us deliberately. In truth, what hurts is not them, but the collapse of our own projection. We have placed upon them the weight of all we crave acceptance, validation, healing, and when they cannot carry it, the illusion shatters. This shattering is painful, but it is also the first step towards seeing clearly. I have seen this countless times in my own patients. A woman comes to me weeping over the man who has broken her heart, unable to understand why she cannot let him go. A man arrives haunted by the rejection of a woman who never truly saw him. They speak of love, but often what they are describing is a projection of their own inner archetype, their anima or animus, upon the other person. They are not in love with the person themselves, they are in love with the image that person represents. This is why the pain feels so intense. It is not merely about the relationship, but about a deeper longing for wholeness. When you understand projection, you begin to reclaim your own power. You begin to see that the love you thought you were giving to them was actually a reflection of the love that has always lived within you. This is a profound realization. Imagine looking at someone you once believed was your entire world and seeing instead that they were a mirror pointing you back to yourself. At that moment, you are no longer enslaved by their approval or rejection. You stand as your own center. But the unconscious does not give up its lessons easily. It will test you, sending you dreams that stir your forgotten fears, bringing people into your life who seem to repeat the same wound. It will ask, have you truly learned, or will you fall back into the old patterns? This is the spiral path of individuation, the process by which we become who we are meant to be. You will circle around the same themes, but each time, if you are conscious, you rise a little higher, you see a little clearer. Consider your dreams for a moment. In dreams, the people who hurt you in waking life may appear in strange, symbolic forms of wolf with golden eyes, a faceless figure, a storm that threatens to drown you. These images are not random. They are messages from the unconscious urging you to look at the deeper meaning of your pain. Perhaps the wolf is the part of you that is fierce, the part you have denied in order to be loved. Perhaps the faceless figure is your fear of losing identity in the presence of another. If you pay attention to these dreams, you will begin to see that the pain of loving those who hurt you is not meaningless. It is a map to the hidden chambers of your own psyche. There is an alchemical process at work here. The alchemists of old sought to transform lead into gold, but their true work was never about metals. It was about the soul. They understood that the lead was a dense, unrefined material of the psyche, our fears, wounds, and shadows, and that through fire, through intense transformation, it could be turned into gold wisdom, self-knowledge, and wholeness. When you love someone who hurts you, You are standing in the alchemical fire. It burns, yes, but if you remain conscious, if you refuse to numb yourself or run away, you will emerge as something new. But this transformation requires courage. It requires that you stop asking, why are they like this? And begin asking, what is this teaching me about myself? This is not to blame yourself, but to reclaim your own power. You cannot control their actions, but you can choose how you respond. You can choose whether to stay in a pattern that diminishes you or to step into the fullness of who you are. This is the work of individuation, to stop living for the approval of others and to live from the deep center of your own truth. There is another truth you must face sometimes. The reason you keep loving those who hurt you is that you are still at war with yourself. You may believe deep down that you do not deserve love without suffering. You may carry the belief that you are only worthy when you give and give, even to your own detriment. These beliefs are not natural, they are inherited from childhood, from a culture that misunderstands love, from wounds that were never healed. And yet, as long as they remain unconscious, they will govern your choices. You will be drawn to those who confirm them, as though your soul is saying, see, this is all I deserve. But that is not the truth. The truth is that love, real love, does not demand that you bleed for it. Real love grows when you see yourself clearly and honor your own soul. To break free from this cycle, you must turn inward, not with harshness, but with compassion. You must look at the child within you, the one who learned to equate love with pain, and tell them, you are safe now, you are worthy now, you do not need to be hurt to be seen. This inner dialogue is not mere self-talk, it is the beginning of healing when you embrace the wounded child, when you give them the love they never received. The compulsion to seek pain begins to dissolve. You no longer crave the approval of those who cannot love you, because you have become the source of love for yourself. And yet, this is not an overnight process. It is a slow unfolding, like the blooming of a flower after a long winter. There will be days when the old patterns feel irresistible, when the memory of those who hurt you calls like a siren song. In those moments, remember this: every step you take toward self-love is a step away from the chains of the past. You are not meant to repeat your suffering endlessly. The universe does not ask you to be a martyr for someone else's wounds. You are meant to grow, to transform, to rise. Sometimes I think of the soul's journey as a descent and a return. We descend into relationships that mirror our deepest wounds, and through the fire of those experiences, we learn who we are. Then, if we are willing, we return to ourselves, carrying the gold of self-knowledge. This is the heroic journey, the myth that lives in every heart, the heroes of old, Odysseus, Persephone, Inanna, all descended into darkness, faced trials, and returned with wisdom. So too must we, in our own way. The people who hurt you are not your final destination. They are the threshold. Beyond them lies your own true self, waiting to be discovered. There comes a moment in every life when the pain becomes a teacher you can no longer ignore. This is the turning point, the sacred threshold, where you either awaken to your own truth or continue to wander the labyrinth of repeated wounds. You stand here now, listening, feeling the quiet tremor in your chest. Because something inside you knows you cannot keep pouring yourself into vessels that refuse to hold you. The cycle is not broken by waiting for someone to change, but by daring to see yourself fully without the distortions of fear or longing. When you see who you truly are, the pattern dissolves like mist under sunlight. You love people who hurt you because a part of you believes that your love has the power to redeem them. This belief is both beautiful and dangerous. It speaks of the immense capacity of the human heart to hope, but it also reveals a misunderstanding. You are not responsible for healing another shadow at the cost of your own light. The path of individuation teaches that each soul must face its own darkness, its own hidden archetypes. You cannot walk that path for anyone else. To try is to become lost in their labyrinths while forgetting your own. And yet, there is a paradox here. For love is not meant to be withdrawn entirely. You do not need to close your heart to protect it. A heart close to pain is also close to joy. Instead, you must learn to love in a way that does not demand suffering. To love without losing yourself. This is the alchemical marriage of the soul, the union of your inner masculine and feminine, your strength and vulnerability, your shadow and light. When you achieve this inner balance, you no longer seek completion in those who cannot give it. You no longer confuse chaos for passion or silence for depth. Let us speak of the dreamer within you, the one who has always believed that love could conquer all. If only you gave enough, endured enough, proved yourself enough. This dreamer is not foolish. This dreamer carries the myth of the soul's longing for the divine. The original yearning for union. But when that yearning is projected onto another human being, especially one who cannot meet you with equal wholeness, the dream becomes a source of suffering. It is as if you have mistaken the moonlight for the sun, worshipping a reflection instead of the source. To break this spell, you must awaken to the reality that the love you are chasing outside is already alive within you. When you connect to that inner wellspring, you become like a star that shines without asking for permission. I have often said that the shadow contains 90% of pure gold. What does this mean? It means that the very aspects of yourself you have rejected or buried, your anger, your longing, your need for respect, are not flaws to be erased, but treasures to be integrated. The people who hurt you often activate these hidden parts of you, forcing them into the light. When someone disrespects you, it is a call to reclaim your own dignity. When someone abandons you, it is an invitation to ask where you have abandoned yourself. Eich wound, painful as it is a threshold, and when you cross it with awareness, you gather fragments of your soul that you once left behind. But awareness alone is not enough. You must act. To love yourself is not a mere feeling. It is a commitment, discipline. It is the choice to set boundaries, to honor your own worth, even when it feels unfamiliar. It is the courage to walk away from those who cannot meet you in love. Not out of bitterness, but out of reverence for your own soul. This is not easy. It requires that you face the fear of being alone. The fear that no one will ever love you as deeply as you desire. But I tell you, this loneliness is not the absence of love, it is the absence of connection with your own self. Once you find that connection, you will see that you are never truly alone. Imagine standing on a Kirt mountain path. The wind brushing against your face, the sky vast and open. You feel the ache of past wounds, but you also feel something else, something deeper. It is the pulse of life within you, the quiet voice of your true self whispering, I am here. I have always been here. This voice is not loud, but it is steady. It is the voice that says you are worthy, not because of what others give or take, but because you exist, because you are part of the eternal tapestry of being. When you hear this voice, really hear, the spell of destructive love begins to fade. You no longer crave the validation of those who cannot see you, because you see yourself. Do not misunderstand me. Healing does not mean you will never love again, or that love will always be easy. It means you will love differently, with awareness, with discernment, with a heart that is both open and strong. You will recognize the signs of imbalance, the subtle ways in which pain disguises itself as passion. You will no longer chase those who run or bleed for those who cannot hold your light. Instead, you will attract those who see you as you truly are, because you have learned to see yourself. The unconscious is a deep ocean, and every relationship you have is like a wave upon its surface. Some waves are gentle, carrying you toward new horizons. Others crash violently, pulling you under. But beneath all the waves lies the still, vast depth of the self. To love without being destroyed by love, you must anchor yourself in that depth. You must become the observer of your own patterns, the one who can see the currents of projection and shadow for what they are. This is the gift of consciousness, the ability to step outside the old stories and choose a new one. Think of the mythic hero again. No hero's journey is complete without the encounter with pain, betrayal, or loss. But the hero does not remain there. The hero learns, transforms, and returns with the elixir, a gift of wisdom for the world. So too, you must gather the wisdom of your pain. Ask yourself, what has loving those who hurt me taught me? Perhaps it has taught you that you are stronger than you ever knew. Perhaps it has shown you the depths of your capacity to forgive, or the power of your own resilience. These lessons are not meant to keep you trapped in suffering, but to lead you to a place of greater love, love that begins within. There is one more truth I must share. The soul is not interested in avoiding pain at all costs. The soul is interested in becoming whole, and wholeness often requires that we face the very experiences we fear most. You have loved those who hurt you, not because you are weak, but because your soul has been seeking to heal an ancient wound. Now, the time has come to heal it, not by repeating the old story, but by writing a new one. This is your task. This is your calling. Close your eyes, just for a moment, and imagine the faces of those who have hurt you. See them clearly, but do not linger on the pain. Instead, see what they awakened in you. See the strength you have gained, or the boundaries you have learned to set the depths of love that still flows in your heart despite everything. Thank them not for the hurt, but for the mirror they provided, and then release them. Say, I no longer need this lesson. I choose to love myself. I choose to step into the fullness of who I am. Feel the weight of old chains fall away. Feel the freedom that comes when you no longer seek love where it cannot be given. You are not meant to be a prisoner of your past. You are not meant to keep loving those who hurt you just to prove your worth. Your worth is beyond proof. It is as eternal as the stars. Every dream, every symbol, every archetype in your soul has been guiding you to this moment, the moment you see that you are both a seeker and the treasure. You are both the lover and the beloved. When you realize this, the pattern of pain becomes unnecessary, like a story you have outgrown. So I say to you, now take your heart back, take it gently, reverently, as you would hold a sacred flame. Let it burn away the illusions that have bound you. Let it light the path forward. A path that does not lead away from love, but deeper into its true essence. For love, when it is real, does not break you. It completes you. It is not found in the one who hurts you, but in the union of your soul with itself. And from that wholeness, you will love others not as a desperate search for healing, but as a free gift, a radiance that asks for nothing and fears nothing. Your journey does not end here. In truth, it begins now, in this very breath, in this very heartbeat. Walk forward, knowing that you are no longer bound to the old patterns. The love you give, the love you seek, is already within you. And when you love from this place, no wound can destroy you. For you have become the light that once you sought in others